Shut up and sit down.
A visit to a circus show essay. Essay on a visit to a circus show for students and children in English. Essay number 1. The Amar Circus came to tour the town last month. The owner of the circus rented the ground near the Amrit Palace cinema. A big tent was put up there. One night, my father took me to see the circus show. We brought 2 first-class tickets and entered the big tent. The circus tent was brilliant, lit with tube lights. A band played outside the tent to attract visitors. Seats were arranged in a big circle around an open space. There was a big crowd of men, women, and children, young boys and girls. The bell rang at 8 p.m. The show began with a dance by the girls. The band continued to play all the time. Then came 4 girls whose athletic performance won admiration and wonder of all the spectators. They were very agile and active. They twisted their bodies in all directions and at all angles. The girls were followed by 4 gymnasts who showed wonderful feats on horizontal bars. They jumped from one bar to the other very smartly. They were quite skillful in their movements. Then came the acrobats and the rope dancers. A young man kept his balance on the rope while dancing high up in the air. He was followed by a thin lady. The lady carried an umbrella in her hand and walked from one end of the rope to the other. She drew a loud cheer from the spectators. When these feats were being performed, a clown with a painted face cracked several jokes and entertained the people. This was followed by 6 horses with the riders on their backs. All the horses went dancing in a circle to the accompaniment of the band. As the horses ran faster in the circle, the riders jumped from one horse to the other. Then the riders stood upright on the back of the horses while the horses went on galloping. This was indeed a remarkable show. Then 3 elephants were brought in. They performed a very funny trick. They rolled a log of wood forward and backward. Then a few dogs were brought out. One of them could do the addition sums abroad. It was all a very intelligent performance on the part of a dog. Then came a motorcyclist riding at a very fast speed in a hollow sphere. It was indeed a feat of daredevilry. Last of all came in lion tamer. He carried a whip in his hand. The lions obeyed all his commands. They were made to drink water from a basin from which a goat was also drinking it. The goat was made to jump from the back of one lion to the other. The show came to an end at 11 p.m. I was feeling very much thrilled and excited as I had enjoyed the show very much. I came back home feeling active in body and mind. It was a rich experience of visiting a circus. Essay number 2. My father is a man of modern ideas. He often lets me visit the cinema, exhibition, and circus. But I am very fond of circus show than cinema or exhibition. The circus is of various types, but the circus which I saw last week at Parade Ground was the most impressive. In this circus were presented by animals and gymnasts are unforgettable. The Olympic Circus arrived in Parade Ground in Delhi a fortnight ago. Last Sunday, my father permitted me to visit the circus show. 3 of my friends and I reached the circus gate in time to see the evening show. The circus was in a huge tent, which was decorated with colorful electric bulbs and tubes. They gave a charming sight. We bought the tickets and entered the tent. Inside the tent, there were long circular rows of wooden benches and folding chairs. Everywhere there were people of different ages, belonging to different communities. We got our seats in the front row and waited anxiously for the show to begin. As the show began, there was pin drop silence. Many interesting and strange feats were presented. We saw a tiger drinking water with a goat in the same pot, a monkey having a ride on an elephant, a girl crossing a fairy circle, a man walking on a rope without any support, a little girl driving a single wheel bicycle, and many other performances. The gymnastic feats presented by young boys and girls made out hairstand. The clown made us laugh throughout the show. He was dressed beautifully in a hat made of bird feathers on his head. He had a long nose and a pipe in his hand, just to look like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. His every action made us laugh. He walked and ran strangely. I liked almost all the feats of the show, but I was very much impressed with gymnastic feats. I was amazed to see them moving and bending their body like a rubber rod. I wished I could also build my body as flexible and elastic as the gymnast had. Moreover, I had read about the hippopotamus and chimpanzees in the books and magazines, but I was able to see them live in a circus. I think this circus shows not only amuse us and entertain us, but also add to our knowledge about the animals. At the end of the show, we left our seats and come back to our homes. I told my father about the show as a memorable show. AC number 3. It was during the school holidays last year. I was feeling bored and restless until one day when I came across an advertisement in the paper about a circus coming to my town. Naturally become curious and excited as I had never been to a circus before and looked forward to seeing a show that night. We arrived at the circus ground early to buy our tickets. I started exploring, but when I heard the growling of tigers and lions, I felt scared and ran back to my parents. Soon we were seated and about to begin. Felt the show was a comical one performed by monkeys dressed. The first are in colored suits and little hats. They rode on horseback around the ring. I laughed at such a funny sight, for they looked like tiny men. Next entered two pretty girls in blue and silver with two men on another trapeze. They kept them on a trapeze, spectators spellbound with their skillful stunts, swinging and exchanging places in the air to the accompaniment of soothing music. It was thrilling to watch them. Then the clowns in baggy costumes and funny painted face made their appearance. Suddenly, as one clown cried, I saw a spray of water squirting out from his eyes, and he made everyone laugh with his antics, especially when he went tumbling down and his red nose shone like a light. There were many other interesting items. We went home happily after the show, and I felt that a circus is a good form of entertainment, a welcome change from television shows. AC number 4. Last Sunday, the Gemini Circus visited our town. I went to see it with my mother. We saw the evening show. We bought the tickets and went in. We sat on chairs in the front row. First of all, there came clowns. They were wearing colorful clothes with humorous designs, figures, and patterns. They amused us with their pranks. These clowns were piggies in size, and even their very sight made us laugh boisterously. Thereafter came smart girls. They were riding bicycles. I wondered at their smartness and agility. Similarly, the young girls who followed them and engaged themselves in several acrobatic activities also made me thrilled. I too wanted to be nimble and smart like them. After that, an elephant came and started playing with a football. Thereafter, a monkey and then a bear came riding a bicycle each. After this event, there was an awful event. A man came surrounded by several lions. He had a leather strap in his hand. I was horror struck when he put his head into the mouth of one of the lions. Even more awesome were a few other events. I saw a lion jumping through a ring of burning fire. A man came on a motorbike and began to drive it in a globe. It was perhaps the most dangerous and daring act in the circus show. But to our great relief, the clowns kept entertaining us off and on as we returned home. I was full of joy. Essay number 5. A circus is a place of great entertainment for all elders and children alike. Here we get to see an assortment of acrobatics, the workmanship of men and animals, all in the same arena. Last year, I had the opportunity of going to a circus with my parents, sister, and brother. We got seats in the very first row, and so we could see the entire show with ease and interest, without any strain to the necks or heads. The very interesting and thrilling item was the trapeze. Every time the players, both girls and boys, leaped from one swing to another through mid-air, my heart missed a bit, and oh, my little sister would start crying each time. It was so very automatically appear in my mind as to what would happen if those leaping from here to there had a fall. I would think that this eventuality would mean a sure death of the individual. This thought gave me a prick of pain during all excitement, and at times I even closed my eyes tight to ensure that I missed the sight of a performer fall off from the trapeze. The other item I liked the most was the item called the Well of Death. This was a very huge globe like thing made of wires very closely knit. In this globe, we saw two men enter seated on a motorcycles, and the game started. They both moved round and round the globe at a very fast speed, and all the time there was the fear of the two motorists colliding. If this would happen, it would mean sure death for both, and that also a very sad death, with each getting crushed into pulp. This driving of the motorbikes required, besides guts and grit, absolute precision of movement all through. This precision was needed as they would continue to cross each other throughout the display at just the distance of a hairbreadth. This item was also very interesting and exciting, which kept our nerves tense all the time. In this case, also like the trapeze, my mind continued to think of the worst that could happen. That is, both the motorists being crushed to smithereens. A crash would mean just an instantaneous death for both of them. However, as I kept my fingers crossed all the time, it all went off well and nothing happened to them. Some of the other thrilling items were the jumping from swing to swing by both men and women and the tightrope walk. Both these items also required absolute perfection and precision in action, as the tiniest of a mistake would mean disaster. Besides the items of interest presented by human effort in the circus, animals were not very far behind the humans performing. We saw elephants walking on low pedestals, dogs doing acrobats, and the lion having as of a game with his master in a cage. All this was not any match to the performance of a dog solving sums of addition on a blackboard. This item took the cake, and at once I, for one, started believing the unbelievable that animals too have brains that are not very much less than the brains of human beings. The entire show and a mixture of its excitement and nerve wracking atmosphere were broken by the antics of the two jokers who entered the arena. There were two of them. One was very tall as he walked on stilts, and the other just the opposite, very short, almost like a dwarf. Their jocular antics took away the tension and seriousness of the items and gave us some respite. After seeing this circus, I understand two very important things. One was that animals can be and are as intelligent as man, so we need not boast that we are a highly specialized species of living beings that alone have brains. The other important thing confirmed to me was that both men and animals can be equally well trained and disciplined to a point of perfection. The items we saw performed by both men and animals required perfect precision and perfect discipline, and both were found in plenty in both men and animals. Here again, I understood that man has no reason to boast about his species, as the lower species of animals have proved that they are in no way less than men. Some items of lesser interest were the human pyramid, driving a cycle of one wheel, and lo and behold, jumping through a ring of burning fire. Thus, the circus I visited provided complete entertainment for me and all the others, and at the same time taught me few very important points about the characters and behaviors of men and animals. It was a visit worthy of it.